It's now time for the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. The Mike Wagner Show brings you famous celebrities and amazing people from all over the world. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeart Radio. And watch the interview on YouTube. So sit back and relax and enjoy the Mike Wagner Show.
Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking for a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeart Radio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and Apple. Also on Stitcher, Outcast, Shoutbox, and more. And listen to The Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Just take it with you and subscribe to The Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. We're here with a wonderful musician from Sacramento, California. He's part of a band, the infamous quartet, Sacramento, California. And they've got some songs out there that are featuring a lot of things. It's a very unique sound, 60s rock meeting 80s, 90s punk, influenced by Bobby Fuller 4, Beach Boys, Green Day, Kinks, Descendants. So combine all that with a taste of Americana from their view. And ladies and gentlemen, live from somewhere in the United States, on the road, somewhere in a reservation, being on reserve away from Sacramento, California. Ladies and gentlemen, the quarter of the American High Quintet, Doug Terry. Doug, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, how you doing, Mike? Thank you for having me.
Hey, doing great. So you guys have been around for quite some time. You're from Sacramento, California. You got a unique sound to it, and you got a couple of songs out there, and you've got some interesting messages talking about the state of the world and America today. You have a similar style to Bobby Fuller 4, Green Day, Kinks, and many more. And, of course, your music video, which we're going to play for you a little later. Shia Calvo has been named 2018 Best Music Video and a lot more. And before we get into your, all your projects and everything, tell us how you got started.
Well, let's see. I guess I got started when I was a little kid. I had 4 older brothers, and they used to set me down in front of a big speaker and put on the Beatles. And they played the Beatles, and that's basically all I listened to until I was about 11. And I kind of got obsessed with them, I guess you could say, and have listened to them ever since. And so I always understood that songwriters, bands should write their own songs, and that the songwriting is the really cool part. And so I got interested in songwriting and just began writing songs as soon as I picked up a guitar at age 17, and I've been writing songs ever since.
That was amazing too. And how'd you guys all come together?
Just playing around open mic nights around the greater Sacramento area, and we just kind of bumped into each other one by one. And also we met at the Puss Cavern, which is run by Joe Johnston in Sacramento, that's the place where a band called Cake, you may recognize, they recorded there. Some other bands recorded there, but we all got together there and started playing and realized this sounds pretty good, so we went with it.
That's amazing. And what's the one moment that got you influenced into where you are today, or from the beginning? What's that one precise moment?
Where I am today. The one precise moment would be, I guess, when we all looked at each other and realized that we had enough songs to make a record. We originally were just playing for fun and having a good time, and we all had a similar taste in rock and roll, which is mainly 60s, 70s rock, all those really cool vocal-driven, harmony-driven bands, Beach Boys and Beatles and the Kinks, and then also from the 70s, the Steve Miller Band, and all these really great bands back then. And then we also all went through an 80s and 90s early punk phase as well, and we all have a really big appreciation for those early bands, like I said, the Descendants or the Dickies or Green Day, and we saw a similarity between the two styles of music. I think a lot of people don't, but a lot of the same hooks and ideas work in either type of music. So we decided to blend the two and just kind of see what the stew tastes like afterwards, and we liked it.
That is something, too. We'll play one of your singles in just a minute. And who are some of your other influences in music that has shaped you today, like other artists and singers and everything else? It's like, who are some of your other influences?
Well, let's see. That would be a lot of 80s punk bands. So, Ramones, actually 70s even. Ramones, Black Flag and Nirvana, and Blink 182, and the President of the United States of America.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Oh my gosh,
So,
was it She Love? It's like, everybody thought they'd be the baddest there is, and all of a sudden it's like, just two and that's it. It's like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I think they got into some sort of disagreement with their record company, and instead of making records, they decided to wait out the contract. So they just put down their guitars for something like 10 years, and then the contract ran out, and then they started making music again. Pretty respectable.
That's the way to do it. So, yeah, we'll talk about something Americana in just a minute here and play one of your singles. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support at sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeart Radio. Also on Anchor FM, iTunes, Radio Public, Google Play, Apple, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device and subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. We're here with Doug Terry from the group American High, based out of Sacramento, California, and talked about some of the influences and how things got started. And we have this single out there that's been riding high in the waves is Shia Calvo. So let's talk about that after we give us a listen from American High, right here on the Mike Wagner Show.
A period of violence. Gang wars and Tommy guns were the byword of the day. Speakeasies sprang up all over the land, and the police had to seek them out. Now here they follow a tip. The plans are made for a raid. The question is it a real tip or a phony? They'll soon find out.
You're not the only one.
Shia Calvo from American High on the Mike Wagner Show. Shia Calvo, just tell us about this song and why is this so important and the whole story behind Shia Calvo.
Well, Mike, we knew what we wanted to do musically. We like, all the harmony-driven, vocal-driven rock and roll. But then we had to sit down and wonder, what exactly do we want the band to stand for? What do we want the songs to involve? And so a lot of songs are, about love lost or love songs, but there's a lot of songs that address or go to the center of our core belief, which is that every person is born with the same exact rights and that we're born with these rights and that nobody or no group of people is able to vote away their rights. For example, your right to choose which church you go to. Mm-hmm. If they passed a law saying that you can't go to church A, that would not be a valid law. We would be justified in not respecting that law because it's not a just law. So we think that there are a lot of violations of these rights that people are born with across the country, and that people are distracted by other things, and we're trying to pinpoint a spotlight on some of them. Like, for example, what happened for Shia Calvo. Not poor, he's a hero now, but he's a guy who is a victim of the drug prohibition laws that we have, which is probably the source of most of the troubles in the country right now. We tried prohibition. We did that for 13 years.
I remember that failed.
Yeah, it didn't work. It didn't work so hot. The blood ran in the streets, and there was the rise of the mafia, and the police became corrupt. And the most important thing, no one stopped drinking. So the prohibition law did not stop people from drinking, so they got rid of it. It just had too many evil side effects. They had to choose between two evils, letting people drink or the horror of prohibition, and they decided to let people drink. Well, we're doing the same thing with all intoxicants now. You go down the list, these drug laws, these prohibition laws that we fight, or these war on drugs that we fight, has many, many, many human casualties, including Shia Calvo. He's a guy who was walking his dog and came home to his house and picked up a package that was located on his front porch, brought it in, and the next thing he heard was his door being kicked in and gunfire.
Oh, my gosh.
And, yeah, they were, over a dozen highly armed men came into the house. They handcuffed Mr. Calvo. They handcuffed his mom, put him on the ground. They shot his dogs, his two dogs. And then they proceeded to track the blood of his dogs throughout his house as they trashed his house and turned everything over. And when they left, they didn't even bother to say sorry. And come to find out, those people, those armed men, were the police. And Shia Calvo was the mayor of his Maryland town. And that package he picked up was full of marijuana from some drug smuggler that had a plan to mail these packages to unsuspecting citizens, and then apparently there was somebody else involved that was going to pick them up. And Shia Calvo was a victim of what they call no-knock search warrants. A no-knock search warrant is, do you remember, Mike, the days when it was, open up, it's the police? Mm-hmm. That's gone. Now it's a kick down door and cops coming in, guns blazing, and this is very, very problematic. First of all, we think it's a violation of human rights. One of these rights, we have the right, the Fourth Amendment says we have the right to feel secure in our person and our papers and our things, and now cops can just kick the door down and come in shooting, and it's totally immoral. We think it's obviously immoral. And this is our attempt to highlight it, spotlight it, and hopefully cause change.
Mm-hmm. And of course, this new prohibition you're talking about, when did that start?
Well, this drug prohibition, it began early. It was back early 1900s. Everyone got together and decided and there's a lot of different theories as to why, but they decided to make certain intoxicants illegal and cause prohibition for them. And like, cocaine, marijuana, these things. And let me ask you a question, Mike. Do you know anyone, if all drug laws were banned tomorrow, gotten rid of tomorrow, do you know anyone who currently is not a drug user who would run out and buy some heroin?
I think it depends upon the person. It depends upon their situation. Also, it depends upon if they're willing to try it or not. I mean, not everybody's going to run out and get it, but it all depends upon the person. And of course, the theory I also heard too, that if you got rid of all drugs, it would just wipe out the crime trade of like certain drugs and all that. And they're already currently loosening up on the marijuana laws. And right now it's like they're letting people out on simple marijuana charges out of jail so they can free up the jail space for other high-profile criminals or murders or whatever else to come in. And, of course, the value and the trade has also gone down. And there's also theory if you took away, all the illegal drugs and made it legal, you would eliminate the crime trade. So is that going to work in theory? I guess that's going to be the big question. Will it work in theory, or is it going to actually work, or is this just words?
Yeah, that's a great point. And I would submit to you that we have one of the most impressive, one of the most definitive human sociological experiments known to man. And we conducted it ourselves, the Americans. It was from 1920 to 1933, alcohol prohibition. We know exactly what happens, what the results are of prohibition laws. Mm-hmm. And look at today. We have prohibition laws, and what's happening? We have blood running in the streets. We have police corruption, especially in Mexico, but also some in the United States, not most. The vast majority no, but some. And our prisons are filling full of nonviolent drug offenders. And in the meantime, guess what? No one is not smoking crack because it's illegal. No crack smoking person, crack addict, looks in the mirror and says, you know what? I'd really like to smoke crack today, but gosh darn it, it's illegal. So I think I'm not going to do it. Or a heroin addict, these laws don't prevent the people who are going to use drugs from using them. The only thing that the laws do is the same thing that they did in the early 1900s. The rise of the cartels, police corruption, blood's running in the streets. More than 30,000 Mexican nationals have been murdered in northern Mexico in the last 10 years. Wow. And so the question is, do we think, are those lives worth just as much as our lives? And we think they are, because we think that all people are created equal and endowed by our creators with certain inalienable rights. And to violate those rights is immoral and wrong, regardless of whom it is that's violating them. And they felt, let's put it this way, they felt the need to change the Constitution to make alcohol illegal. Mm-hmm. But they didn't feel the need to change the Constitution when they made other intoxicants illegal. Mm-hmm. And we would ask, why would that be? What's the difference?
Mm-hmm. And of course, is that considered constitutional into labeling certain drugs legal or illegal? It's like, is that constitutional?
Yeah, well, people in 1920 felt the need to put an amendment to the Constitution to give the government power to make alcohol illegal. And then when they decided to reverse themselves, they put another amendment to the Constitution that undid the first one and made alcohol no longer subject to laws. So those people believed that the Constitution protected people's rights to drink an intoxicant. And I would submit to you that there's no difference between any intoxicant. You go to any little tiny rock out in the middle of the ocean where 4 people live, they're licking some sort of stone or a fish, or they're doing something to become altered. It's just part of the human condition there. To illegalize a normal facet of the human condition is to cause many, many, many problems in society, including damaging race relations, damaging, all these murders in northern Mexico and a whole lot of murders in this country. And then once these drug cartels have power, now there's trafficking of human beings. And we should just remove the drug cartels, all of their power all at once. By making all drugs legal, suddenly there wouldn't be any cartels. There wouldn't be any, and then we'd be able to catch all the human traffickers. We would improve race relations. We'd empty out half of the people that are in prison are there for nonviolent drug crimes. So nonviolent. So, okay, do we want to spend our time policing whether or not someone you've never met is smoking something that you've never smoked to get something out of it? Or do we want to spend our time looking for the serial killer and the bully who beat somebody up and took their wallet? I think the answer is obvious.
I think that's obvious as well, too. And do you think eliminating the age limit, like, say, 18 for tobacco, 21 for alcohol, and whatever it is, do you think removing the age limit is going to help bring that drug trade and alcohol trade, like, say, is that going to eliminate the problems?
You mean for cigarettes?
Yeah, any kind of tobacco or even vaping as well, too, or the e-cigs, like 18 or 21 for alcohol. Removing the age limit, is that going to help or hurt the trade?
Well, I think if you're an adult, you get to do stuff. You get to do whatever you want as long as you are not causing harm to other people. You're not committing violence against nonviolent people. And as long as you are not defrauding anyone, then people should be allowed to drink a 64-ounce soda or smoke a marijuana joint or, drink milk from a cow that hasn't been pasteurized. Or
I love to do that one day. I dare myself to do that, drink milk straight from a cow. I love to do that.
Oh, well, I wouldn't if I were you, because the federal government doesn't like it. They've stormed farmers' farms and arrested farmers at gunpoint in mass. The feds show up in mass and arrest the seller of the milk and the buyer of his neighbors, the buyers of the milk.
Oh my gosh!
And if it's not pasteurized, and this has happened multiple times before, where they swoop in and they don't like people drinking non-pasteurized milk. Now, I think we can try to convince people that pasteurization is important. We can tell them about bacteria and illness, foodborne illnesses. But what we can't do is point a gun at them and demand that they stop drinking it, because that's immoral.
And of course, it also brings up a video as well, too, called UN Article 14. We'll talk about that. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking our budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today at 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show. Get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios. Take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeart Radio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and Apple. Also, take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device and subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. We're here with Doug Terry from American High, based out of Sacramento, California. We just heard Shia Calvo, and they've got an album coming out in 2020 as well, too. We'll talk about some other singles, but first, here is one that's very significant, and we'll talk about that UN Article 14 from American High right here on The Mike Wagner Show, MikeWagnerShow.com. Article 14 from American High right here on the Mike Wagner Show. I mean, that was just a moving video. First of all, explain what is UN Article 14?
Well, it involves asylum. So in World War II, there was a ship called the St. Louis. It was a German ship in 1939. It left Nazi Germany full of about 900 German Jews. And they were, thank God, they got out of there just in time and escaped the concentration camps. But they came first to the United States and were denied permission to land. And then they went to Canada. They went to multiple countries, nations around all over that border of the Pacific, and everyone denied them the permission to land, and they had to return to Germany, where most of those people were rounded up and sent to concentration camps and were murdered. So after World War II was over, the UN felt the need to write out a list of basic human rights that all civilized countries should agree with. And, you know, like you have the right to not be discriminated against. Your rights are with you no matter what. You carry them even if you cross some border, you still have the exact same rights. Stuff like that. And one of them was a reaction to what happened to the St. Louis and the people on the St. Louis. And that's UN Article 14. It says that every human being has the right to go to any country and ask for and be granted asylum from persecution. So I always I describe it this way, Mike. Let me ask you a question. If you were in a park in your hometown and a woman comes up to you bloody and black eyes, bloody nose, and says, help me, I don't feel safe going home. It's a violent situation there. Would you help her or would you turn your back on her?
I would absolutely help. And of course, I have a totally different background as well, too. You're supposed to help your brothers and sisters, family and everything. I mean, no matter the condition, they're asking for help. Your job is to basically help them no matter what. So it's basically just saying this simply that, like, say, encounter a homeless person, like, say, a friend lost their job. It's basically just to say, you know, here's a sandwich, here's a newspaper if you're looking for work, here's a cup of coffee, you can stay for the night and get yourself showered up and, go look for a job or head for home or whatever. It's designed to just, pick them up and help them, not force people to depend as well, too. So I think that's just a thing, out of a different perspective that you see somebody that's bloody, you say, I'm unsafe. You go in, you clean them up, you counsel them, let them cry their hearts and everything, give them food, a little shelter, and say, hey, go take care of this or go to the police or whatever. So it's like it's your job is to basically just help administer that person.
Yeah, we agree 100%. We don't know anyone who has said, no, I wouldn't help her. We don't know anyone, left wing, right wing, Republican, Democrat, or old, young, or atheist Christian. We don't know anyone, any American who would turn their back on that woman in that park. Well, that is what asylum is. Asylum is someone coming to us and saying, I don't feel safe going home. I've been attacked. They're going to kill me there. Please help me. And asylum doesn't mean the person gets to stay in the United States forever. It just means they get to stay here until we figure out whether or not they're lying or they're telling the truth. Is it really a potentially fatal situation at home, or are they just trying to lie to us to try to sneak into the country? Well, that's what asylum is it's taking people in until we figure out if it's safe to send them home. And right now on the southern border of the United States, we're not doing that. It's the same thing as being in the park. The woman's coming up to us saying, help me, I do not feel safe going home. And we're turning our back on those human beings down on the southern border. And we think every single person that we know would help the woman in the park. So why would we not help the people on the border?
It all depends on the situation as well, too. And of course, you have a twofold where it's like some people are actually, are in danger, coming from Central America, in a really violent situation. Mexico, some really violent situations, or even our backyard, certain violent situations, or some like to lie about or just to get benefits and everything. And with the situation along the border, is that part of Mexico in violation of UN Article 14?
Yes, United States is now. We're not bound by UN articles. They don't. America is not beholden to the UN. So, but nevertheless, it's a list of rights that everyone agreed to at one point, and everyone agreed that every civilized country would do these things. And one of them is, if someone comes to your country, comes to your border and says, hey, it's not safe for me to go home, please help me, that we will take them in and be granted, it says, be granted asylum. And that just means held, and then their home situation is investigated. If it truly is dangerous, well, then thank God we saved them from that. That's the America I love. Most Americans I know, are the heroes that I know are guys that would run into a burning building and save the kid, or would jump on the grenade, those kind of guys, Well, those are the same kind of guys that would help that woman that's beat up in the park. They're the same kind of guys that would help a little kid who's being beaten by his parents. Well, I would just submit to those people. It's our appeal to those people to look at the human beings on the southern border the same as you would any other human being. They're unarmed families that are moving from one place I've never been to another place I've never been, and they happen to be crossing an imaginary line, and we have guys with machine guns pointing at them, and we just think that's wrong.
Mm-hmm. And of course, too, since Mexico is part of the UN as well, too, is the tribunal at the UN doing anything about that situation in Mexico? I know America is pretty much out of it since they're not part of the UN. Is the UN Council doing anything about the situation in Mexico?
No. What are they going to do? I mean, nobody can take on the United States. I mean, nobody. Come on, man. No one's storming the beaches of Virginia Beach or storming the beaches of San Diego. We're 3,500 miles away from any nation that would. And anyway, even if all the nations in the world ganged up on us and attacked us, we'd still be able to win. So, no, what's the UN going to do? They can't stop us. It's us that we have to sit down and just take a plain look at it and say, look, the bottom line is, if you're looking at the world from space, you cannot see the borders. Borders are imaginary. They change over time, and it's just imaginary line in the sand. But what's not imaginary is the machine gun that we're pointing at these families. And, when you get to your maker and you're having to explain yourself, which side do you want to have to justify? The side where are you standing on the side of the army men with the machine guns pointed at the families, or are you on the side of the little kids and the families who are just trying to find a better life? To us, it's just we think most moral-minded and good people would agree that they would be on the side of the families and the children.
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing as well, too. And there's also a song called September, which is, just an opposite of what you guys were doing, too. And we'll talk about that as well, too, along with some other things. You listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition way. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960, or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 10% off your first order. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeart Radio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and Apple. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device, and subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel. We're here with Doug Terry from American High, based out of Sacramento, California, and we just feature a couple of their songs. But right now, here's something a little different called September, right here on the Mike Wagner Show. That is September from American High here on the Mike Wagner Show. It kind of reminds me of Mixing the Birds with the Gin Blossoms. That's a great song. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And just tell us about that song as well, too. What inspired you to write the song September?
Well, it was like most songs, it started out as just the groove, you know. It just sounded cool. We played it, and it sounded great. It sounded good to us. And then we started thinking about what do we want the song to be about. I was actually in New York City on 9/11 and saw a lot of horrible things, and this is our way of it's our tribute to the people that lost their lives on 9/11, and we don't think we should ever forget. So it's our way to remember the victims. And
you say you were in New York City on 9/11? Just want to clarify that.
Yes.
You were? Okay. And you actually saw the planes that hit the World Trade and actually watch it crumble?
No, I didn't see the planes hit. When I woke up for work, I was I heard about it on the radio, and I climbed up to the top of my brownstone in Brooklyn, Park Slope, Brooklyn, and I could see the towers, and went into work and watched the TV like everyone else and witnessed it all. But one thing, there was, at least in New York City, there was live feed, and one of the things that profoundly disturbed me was the sight of two people jumping, you know, to avoid the burning, being burned. They jumped holding hands, a young lady and an older man. They jumped together. And
wow.
I couldn't stop thinking about how did that conversation go? You know, how did that, what they must have spoken about it, holding hands, you know. So how did that, and that's our, September's our humble idea of how that conversation might have gone. And it's our attempt to paint a human face on the suffering that happened that day.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
And did you have any family, friends, or any coworkers or anybody that you knew that was somehow related or unrelated that perished during 9/11 or got affected somehow, like their friends or their family members?
Well, yeah, a lot of my friends at the time knew a lot of people that were involved. Not me personally, though. But yeah, a whole lot of my friends had coworkers mainly and acquaintances in the EMS field that went in.
Wow, that is something. I'll show you my 9/11 story as well, too, that I was driving my son to school. I work at the school and an academy at the same time, along with the ministry, and plus my son at the time was in senior kindergarten. I think he was about 6 years old or 5.5, and I was listening to the radio on a news talk station in Chicago, and then they broke in for a story about the World Trade Center got hit, and I thought, is this some stupid Howard Stern man-cow prank? You know, is this a prank or something? It's like, who would crash a plane into the World Trade Center? Are they making it up or something? And then second plane hits. I thought, okay, somebody's got to be drunk or idiotic just to hit a building and all that. And then the third one, I said, this is something serious. And the fourth was about to hit the third hit the Pentagon, and then the fourth was about to hit the White House. But the 80 people on board were actually brave enough to take their pillows and just beat up on the terrorists, crashed in a cornfield or an open land in Pennsylvania. But I said it was just something that just really shook me to the core. And then later on, just watching it, you know, the planes hit, and I was advised by people, don't let your kids watch it. I said, kids, this is significant history. You can just tell everybody. And I actually did have a couple of people I knew that had, like, you know, their coworkers got affected, and one of them, I worked in an apartment that his distant cousin worked in accounting. I think it was one of the 40th or 50th floors at the World Trade, and he called in sick that day, and his replacement came in, and we said, it's like, boy, if he was healthy, he could have been gone. And you could imagine him. It's like, boy, if I wasn't sick, you just feel for the guy. And then another person who was with us, that he had some associates that worked on the very top, was like the 110th or 120th. It's like up close to the very top of the world trade. And they were closing in on a multi-million-dollar deal, and this guy runs a business, and he was just needing this big deal to stay afloat. And by the time they're ready to hit the big deal, signed and everything else, as soon as they're ready to sign and finalize it, the phones went dead, everything went dead, the World Trade got bombed, and the deal was just shot.
Yeah, it's we think that it's important to remember 9/11 so that we can try to avoid that kind of thing in the future. It was almost like our Pearl Harbor. You know? I think more people died in 9/11 than in Pearl Harbor. So for us, our generation and the younger generations, it's our Pearl Harbor.
And I have to say about Pearl Harbor too that my parents when they woke up on Sunday morning getting ready for church and the news broke on the radios of the 1940s, those big monster Zeniths and RCAs or Philcos that Pearl Harbor got bombed, and it's just like their household cried and everybody in America cried. It's almost like, how do we get involved in this? And of course, the rest is history, where we got dragged into it and finished off the war. But that was like it was like by surprise, bombing of Pearl Harbor. It's like, how do we get involved, or what do we do to tick the guys off? It was just like puzzling.
Yeah, you know what? That's a perfect point, Mike. We agree. That's the point of September is exactly what you just said. What did we do to piss these guys off? Obviously, they're pissed about something. And everyone in New York, all my friends, we were all saying the same thing. And I think most Americans were saying the same thing. We were asking the question, why would they do this to us? And I think probably to many people in the world, in that part of the world, and well, to the murderers themselves, they would be. I bet you it never occurred to them that the average American doesn't know why they would do that. There's something that's going on that's pissing them off. I'm not saying that means that they're right, we're wrong. Obviously, they're wrong, we're right. But you can't just go around murdering people. But it does make you wonder, what is it exactly that they are so angry about that they are willing to kill all these innocent human beings that are unarmed and just going about their business? And I think that's what was lost. Everyone said they don't like our lifestyle, or they're evildoers. They just run around doing evil. I think that there was a specific reason. There were specific things that were making them become so livid that they would do such a thing. And I think it's important to ask that question. How did we get involved in this?
And of course, could be also pure jealousy as well, too. So that's just another thing, having some third world come over. It's like, it's just a whole thing of jealousy. But, we'll talk about it another time. There's also a couple of singles you had out, too, called Moon and Sensei. You can just tell us about that, and feel free to throw in some other singles you have produced as well.
Okay, great. Thank you. Moon was, we like Moon. Moon is kind of a slow, groovy song. And, we adhere to the school of thought that it's best to let the listener decide what songs are about. There are obviously songs like Chi Calvo and UN Article 14 that, they're obvious what they're about. But other songs we like to let the people decide, because like Moon, and there's another song on the new record, or this past record, called UN Article 14. There's a song called Belly, and I think we've read about eight different interpretations of what the meaning is, and we love that. That's we want the songs to apply to everybody and be personal to everybody. So that's Moon, and then Sensei, same thing. It could be about anything. Could be about running, this idea of just running away to a foreign place and living on the beach somewhere and cashing in all your chips, or it could mean other things as well.
It almost sounds like the Truman Show, where you just watch it over and over again, you get a different interpretation. That's what it sounds like, the Truman Show.
That's what we were hoping for. We were hoping that on first and second listen that it's groovy, catchy music, and hopefully sounds different, a unique take on rock and roll, hopefully. Mm-hmm. And then after that, if you continue to listen, then begin to wonder, what's the song about? And then if you listen to the lyrics, well, then there are, we think if you're going to make a song, you might as well make it about something important. So, and there's different themes buried in the music. So
That's amazing too. And where can we find this music? And also UN Article 14, your debut album.
Well, the debut album was the year before. That was Bones in the Attic, Flowers in the Basement. And then our second record released on Christmas Day last year is the UN Article 14. You can go to cdbaby.com. You can go to AmericanHighBand.com, and it's American High, like a high school. I actually went to American High School in Fremont, California. American High, HIGH, and then band.com. And then it's everywhere. It's iTunes, and it's on Spotify and SoundCloud and everywhere else. So.
Mm-hmm. And you also have an upcoming album as well, too, to be released on Valentine's Day 2020. That gives a little sneak peek about that one.
We're excited about it. We're excited about it, Mike. I think we're making some of the best stuff, some of the best songs that we've made. So we don't have a title for the record yet, but I think it's going to have some really interesting songs for folks, and it's going to be all over college radio in the spring. Mm-hmm. Hopefully.
And of course, we're looking forward to having you guys back on soon, around that time, maybe afterwards, somewhere around there. I mean, it just can't wait. And Valentine's Day 2020, everybody's going to love it on Valentine's Day, you have to say.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Yeah, I hope so.
And of course, you got nominated for the Best Song, Best Band, and Best Music Video on Pure M Magazine 2018. Of course, you have more accolades that came your way as well, too.
Yeah, we were surprised. We didn't. Our goal was just to make a record. We were having fun making songs, and we realized we had enough to make a record. And so we went on down to Joe Johnston down at the Puss Cavern in Sacramento. He's a genius with recording and mixing, and we put out the album. We didn't really expect much of a response, and we got a surprisingly large response to the first record. And then when UN Article 14 came out, we were really blown away by the response. Winning the 2018 Best U.S. Music Video was a complete shock, and then the record started doing well in Europe and in England and also in Japan and other places. So and across the United States, I think it was played in almost all 50 states. There might have been 2 states that didn't play it on college radio, but the songs were everywhere, and we're just very, very happy that people like it.
That was amazing, too. And any plans for an upcoming tour?
Well, yeah, that's the plan. The plan is to finish this next record and put it out there and see what the response is on college radio and elsewhere. And we will start organizing a tour after that of the United States, at least, probably of Europe as well.
Mm-hmm. We're looking forward to that as well, too. Keep us up to date. We're here with Doug Terry from American High. Just a few more minutes here. We love having you back on as well, too, in the Mike Wagner Show. What do you consider most defining moment in your music career?
Most defining moment?
Yes.
Probably there was an article by a writer named Eileen Shapiro that appeared on a website called Louder Than War. Mm-hmm. Louder Than War is a British website, indie rock website. And when she published that article, it was really glowing. It shocked us. And it was very flattering, and we were kind of taken by surprise. But after that, things took off, and lots of people started paying attention, and there was a lot of reviews and a lot of press. And then after that, we started getting a lot of radio play. So I think that might have been the defining moment.
That is amazing, too. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career?
Musically would be probably the Beatles and Green Day, probably, if I had to pick.
And I think those are good choices, too. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
My advice in life in general would be to question what is being told to you, question your beliefs. It's always good to question your beliefs. Question whether or not what you think is right really is, we always like to say, when it comes to like committing violence on a nonviolent person, it is always immoral. It doesn't matter who's committing the violence. It's always immoral. And to bear that in mind when you're watching the news and you see someone in authority committing violence on someone that's not as strong as them, well, shoot, that's the definition of immoral right there. And just realize that we all have the same rights. Everyone's equal.
Mm-hmm. That is interesting, too. And, Doug, we love having you guys back on as well, too, in 2020. And before we go, once again, tell us about your upcoming projects, your website, how do people contact you, where can people purchase your music?
Thank you. Yes. Well, you can either go to AmericanHighBand.com or I would go to cdbaby.com and just search. They have a little search engine there. Search for American High. That's HIGH, like American High School, American High. And you'll see the records there and you'll be able to purchase them there. It's we really encourage people to get the old school physical copy they can hold in their hand. It's worth it. We put a lot of effort into the art. We have a really very, very talented artist who did the art for the project. And his name's Skylar Brown. But yeah, you could do that, or you can find it on iTunes. Just search American High and you'll find it on iTunes, iHeart Radio, anywhere on YouTube. Anywhere you want to look.
And looking forward to having you on in 2020. And Doug from American High, just want to say a big thank you for your time. You've been fantastic. Very insightful, a lot of things. Looking forward to having you again soon. And do us a favor, keep us up to date.
Okay, will do, Mike. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to The Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Listen online at themikewagnershow.com and on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeart Radio. And watch the interview on YouTube. Also, become a sponsor of the program or donate today at themikewagnershow.com. Join us again tomorrow for another episode of The Mike Wagner Show.